So we have some pretty big wars going on all over the world, and we should see some interesting peace results. So we should see the end of the final, I'm guessing the final German-Russian conflict. I mean, Germany already has full occupation over French lands, at least here back in Europe. I don't think we're going to see, I don't know. I mean, I think France is still going to exist somewhat. I don't know. I mean, we might see Germany do the same thing they did with Russia and just force them to release a whole bunch of nations. I know that I mean, we might see Brittany. An independent Brittany is definitely a possibility. I think France will probably still exist in a few provinces, but probably not much. It really depends. I mean, Germany's only at 6 war score. Actually, they're at 4 now. But anyway, some of the other conflicts, some of the other big conflicts at least. Russia, Romania. Romania is kicking butt. Negative 81 war score. Then we have Brazil versus the Netherlands. Brazil's actually not doing as well as I thought they would. Brazil is winning. The problem was that, let's see, what is going on actually? You know what? Because initially France was providing a lot of support to the Netherlands, but not anymore. I think that is what's going to tip it back towards the Brazilians' favor. They'll probably take and kick out both France and the Netherlands, maybe. But Venezuela will still exist, and Venezuela and Argentina still have a chance. They do still have a chance. Now, how's Italy doing here? One interesting thing, I didn't even realize this, but one interesting thing about the fall of French, I guess the French Empire in Western Europe would be all of the possibilities of the independent nation, all these independent nations, because more than likely the British are probably going to have to either be forced to annul the treaty, annul the alliance, or the British will just not see a reason to be allied to France anymore because they're just too weak. Either one of those works. Either way, when that does happen, I think a lot of these French colonies are going to rise up. Mali might see pretty much an independent West Africa, Mali, Ivory Coast, everything that France has. Now, France has a lot of colonies, too. They've got Madagascar. When France falls, that is going to have some major implications, and Europe is not going to look the same. More independent nations in Europe as well will probably... Angola is allied to China. Will probably force more of the British colonies themselves to rise up against their overlord. I could definitely see like an independent Niger, Equatorial Africa, all support, as well as Angola, all support Cape Colony, Rhodesia, everything else, South Sudan, to rise up against the British and become their own independent nation. So this could have some major implications. We'll have to wait and see exactly how much war score Germany gets. They're actually only at 2 war score now. So I don't know where it's going. They fully occupy France, so I don't exactly know what's going on here. Pretty much France is not going to be able to do anything from Western Europe anymore. Germany, I don't know, where's Germany going to go now? Okay, so they're attacking these French lands in Africa. That's probably a pretty smart choice. They should probably also attack Turkey, too. I think that Turkey definitely has a possibility of becoming a power. I would say that. That's kind of out there, and it really depends. I mean, what is Turkey's interests? But this region is really weak, and I think it's going to continue to grow weaker and weaker as the French lose strength. And when the French lose strength, the British are going to lose a lot of strength. And the Germans, I mean, I could even see the Germans maybe crossing the English Channel. They're starting to get a lot of coastal provinces. They will probably they're probably going to take a bunch of coastal provinces from France right here, which means that they'll be able to get more ships up, and maybe they'll be able to compete a little bit more for the fight for the English Channel. I don't know. It depends. There's a lot of different possibilities that could occur. Anything that's going on in Southeast Asia? No, nothing like that. I do want to check in on some of these liberty desires. I mean, right now these nations are at war, so it's hard to say. Yeah, it's hard to say. Well, 6%, geez, by South Sudan. South Sudan has no interest. 40% for Equatorial Africa. Niger is looking higher, 35%. What are the Germans doing? I thought Germans were sending all their forces up over this way. Maybe not. Iran is over here. Okay, so the Russian war ended. Romania gained a lot of strength. Bulgaria, pretty much they got all their old stuff back. Russia was just kicked out of Eastern Europe pretty much, unless this Russian Crimea is still there, but that's essentially all that's really happened. What were those other 2 wars? Well, I knew 2 of them, but no. Yeah, Brazil separate pieced everybody else. That's interesting. They're still not winning the Dutch, though. They're not defeating the Dutch. Is this where their new capital's at, I'm guessing? No. They did not put their capital here. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Venezuela. Okay, so Venezuela has no chance anymore. Who are they fighting now? Oh, they're still fighting the Germans, I see, because they're allied to the French, I believe. Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. And they didn't even have that much war score. Now I think we're going to see the Germans get more and more strength. So what is going to happen to Russia? That's what I want to know. What's going to happen to this land? It looks like Soviet Western Siberia, did they get more provinces? There might have been rebels that have popped up in Russia, and they had to give, like, autonomy, Russian Central Asia. So the Soviets are gaining strength again. I mean, they have obviously the most amount of strength so far. Remember, the Soviets are allied to China and Turkey. Russia's still allied to the British. It would still be close, but I don't think that... I think, obviously, the Soviets still have more strength. I think the Chinese are more powerful in Eastern Asia than the British are in just South Asia with the British India. Oh, man, there's a lot of things that are going to happen. These next 20 years are going to be pretty crazy. Still waiting for these truces to end for Japan. 1998, 1999. I mean, Japan still has a while, but I think that some possible new powers could be Turkey, Japan. Who knows what could come out of Africa? I mean, that's kind of interesting. The possibility of what could come after Africa. And I don't even know what Europe's going to look like at this when Germany goes crazy, and Germany's already going crazy. I mean, I don't know how much... They're only at 2 war score again. I don't know what they're going to take. They might not be able to take as much as we're thinking. And maybe they will. We have Turkey here in Sardinia, going after Italian lands. Germany's having a tough time, I think, once again, because the British. They're still having a tough time because of the British and the fleet out there. So the Germans are still allied to everybody: Scandinavia, Brazil, USA, Italy, and China. Still predicting that that's going to definitely turn upside down at some point, because somebody's going to rival another. And the British, who are very, very powerful, are running out of allies. Running out of strong allies, at least. Russia doesn't matter anymore. France doesn't matter. Portugal is really not that powerful either. Everybody else is too small to really make that big of an impact. The British might... That's a very smart move, I think, for the British to be investing in Japan, though. I think that's a very smart move for them. I think they're losing war score because of Italy. I bet you Germany would be a lot more successful if they didn't call in Italy into these wars. They might not even be able to take what they want. I could definitely see that. Might not be able to take what they want here. 1992. We've got Canada, Germany, China for the USA. Still surprised that Canada still hasn't... I don't know. Sometimes someone usually ends up backstabbing. Not usually, but occasionally. Not every time. But North America doesn't... I don't think they usually tend to stay like this. Who's allied to Panama? Because how is Panama still alive? Venezuela. Who's allied to El Salvador? Nobody. Okay, so I guess that's why. But because Venezuela lost a lot of strength, who knows what would happen? Who knows what's going to continue to happen? So yeah, we're close to a peace deal. 2 war score. We're going to see some interesting peace deals. I just want to see what Germany's going to take. When Germany decides... let's go ahead and check over some of the development here, actually. I think this is a good time to check over development. And we have to keep in mind this is going to change. So the Germans only about... Okay, so they gained about 200 more development from the British. Again, when the British start to lose colonies and lose territories, that's going to be interesting. The British are losing their alliances. The USA is still growing in a lot of development, but they don't really play a big role in the world as a whole. The USA is just kind of there for the most part. Japan has moved up into that 5th place spot, but Brazil not too far behind. Here's the Soviet Union. Very divided now. But we need to keep this in mind. Because this is going to have some interesting... It's going to be interesting seeing this all shift. Although, you know, I don't know if this is going to really change that much. It's starting to seem like the Germans aren't going to be able to take what they want here, which is really weird and surprising. I mean, maybe it's because the Germans didn't have the USA this time around. They did not have the USA on their side. which could be a clear reason why the Nazis won't be as successful. Ooh, what's going on with Hungary? They're black flagged? They probably were... Maybe they're still trying to bring back troops from Russian lands. How's Mongolia doing? Okay. China still remains the same. Yeah, Italy is getting demolished. That's part of the issue. Whoa! And just like that, the British just got even more development. They just vassalized... they just annexed Iran. British Persia is now a thing. So the British are powerful, but they're losing alliances, and I don't know. Man, this fight between Germany and the British is going to be interesting. It has a huge pickup, I'd say. I didn't realize that they'd be able to annex that massive country. Oh, let's see what happens with Brazil. They didn't end up taking anything, did they? Nope. Either way, still successful, because they just pretty much destroyed Venezuela. So I'd still say it was pretty successful. Let's see where the Liberty Desire here is. 41%. So it's growing, just very slowly. It's getting closer and closer to 50. So I think it's likely that we'll see them rise after this war, even if they don't end up taking that much. Panama versus, there it is, Panama versus El Salvador. So that was a smart move by El Salvador. Right as Brazil takes a huge chunk out of Venezuela, then attack Panama, they won't have as much strength as they had before. Ooh. Yep, Germany's not going to be able to do this. I don't think they're going to take anything. I do not think... They're continuing to lose strength, to be honest. So I don't think they're going to take anything. I think Germany's going to have to peace out for nothing. And they better hope next time that Italy doesn't get involved. Because I think Italy was the one that pretty much brought them down. Germany's now having to pretty much protect Italian Peninsula lands from all these blockades. There's a lot of blockades going on too. That's another big problem for Germany. Still, they do not have that naval superiority that they desperately need at this point. They really, really need that. How's British Australia doing? 40%. Oh, you know, the Netherlands probably just changed the capital here. I do want to check where the Netherlands ran to. Yep, they did. They're here. And these are not colonies, so they will not uprise. Yeah, they're not going to uprise. This is a colony, right? No, that's British-controlled lands too. Guaranteed Mexico. Wow. And yeah, nothing in Southeast Asia. Still nothing there. Come on, Germany, just peace out. I just want to see what's going to happen, man. That's all I want to see. El Salvador is not winning their war against Panama, so I guess Venezuela still maybe has a little bit more strength than we're thinking. Great Britain still controls Belize, Jamaica, Cuba. Cuba, who are they allied to now? Venezuela. So a lot of Latin powers, I think, are starting to come together to fight back Brazil. And what will Brazil be? Will Brazil be... I thought they're a constitutional republic, but what side will they ally with? Seems like it's going to be with the Germans. They're not actually allied to anybody else, which is interesting. See, that Brazil actually could be the cause for why the German and American alliance breaks down. I could see that. I could definitely see something like that happening. Negative 48 war score. Wow. Yeah, that did not end up going too well for you, buddy. I'm sorry, man. So does this mean Panama's going to take all this land? It looks like it. And if they remain allied to Venezuela, then, you know, Central America is going to look pretty consolidated, pretty strong. I mean, I don't know. It really depends. Oh, yep, they took a whole bunch away. Guatemala got released as well. Who's Venezuela allied to now? Just Cuba, Panama, and France. Oh, France is okay. Like I said, I don't think France is going to get wiped out here. Wow, I can't believe you lost all of this. That's amazing. Which means, because France probably won't lose much here, I think the British and the French alliance will remain. This is the first war we've seen Germany lose, or I think we're going to see them lose. I think it's safe to assume. They can't sever peace out anybody, except for maybe Turkey, but what are they going to do? Yeah, that is pretty interesting. Oh, did something peace out? Yep, they peaced out for nothing. Wow. That's a pretty good show, though. French peasants have risen up. Wow, I can't believe that. Did they lose anything? I don't think they lost anything. They just barely escaped. And this is what we have to keep our eye on, because we could still technically see these guys declare independence. But who would support them? I'm guessing Germany potentially. Now, because nothing was taken, the truce shouldn't take too long. I don't think there should be a long... Oh my gosh, lots of rebels popping up. How long is this truce here? Until 1999. So only in 5 years. That's pretty much nothing. We'll probably see Germany set their sights back on Hungary again, maybe. Czechoslovakian separatists have risen up. Lots of rebels popping up all over Europe. China versus Armenia. Wait, China? No, Soviet Union versus Armenia. And this one, Circassia, something like that. All right, well, Soviet Union's going to continue to gain back strength. It's funny how we started this campaign with the Soviet Union, and now, 12 years later, they're coming back. That's it's quite interesting. Although Russia's still clearly there, and there's still a force to I think there's still a force that needs to be respected somewhat. At least if you're like in the Balkan region or something like that. I mean, you still got to watch out for them. Anyways, guys, I'm going to end it a little bit early. Kind of speed it up until we get to another conflict. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.